All right, hey everybody, Ronnie's Garage. Another quick video. I'm using my GoPro this time. The last few times I used my phone, and I was having a hard time getting that transferred over to the computer to put on YouTube and all that. So I'm gonna try my my GoPro this time. So the last time we talked, I was taking this out for a ride. I got the new ignition on, got it fired up, it ran great. I went for a ride to work one day, and this was Tuesday, this past Tuesday. I rode it to work. I got to work, and a few minutes later, one of the guys that works here comes in, says, "Hey man, is that your bike out there?" I mean, I've got, 4 bikes now, and I've been riding different ones to work, so they see a different bike, they're not sure who it belongs to. So they saw the shovel head out there for the first time. That's the first time I ever rode it to work, and they said, "Hey man, is that your bike?" And I said, "Yeah." He said, "You've got a leak under your primary." I was like, "Oh shit." So I went outside, and right about here on the ground was looked like maybe 10-11 ounces of fluid had dropped. It was oil. And I'm sitting there looking at it thinking, damn, what happened? And all of a sudden I look, and my oil cap was gone. Nothing there. Well, I had a problem the first few times I started it, when I was working on it Monday test ride, that the oil cap would pop off when I'd hit the starter, like too much pressure. Well, I had put a small filter on my vent line underneath the bike, because the spray of oil that comes out sometimes, I didn't want it, to maybe get on the tire when I first cranked it up. That spray of oil is when the bike sits for a long time and it backs up inside the oil pump, and the pressure will shoot it at that vent tube. The more you ride the bike, the less it'll happen. So I went outside while I'm at work. I went outside and took that little air filter off the vent tube, and then I also just took a rag and stuffed it in here, and then put tape over it to hold it till I could get home. So I had hoped that maybe the vent tube, or excuse me, the oil cap was laying in my driveway. I thought maybe it popped off when I first started it, but I got home and it's gone. I'm like, well, shit. So I ordered a new cap, and I mean, you can see now I've got a new cap on there. So I had also, one of the guys I work at, or one of the guys I know at an indie shop, had said that possibly I had too much oil in the tank. That'll cause back pressure. He said he didn't think the vent tube would cause a problem. So I went ahead and drained the oil down a little bit, and it was hard to get the oil drain plug back in before it all drained out. So I had to add a little oil, and I ordered another oil cap. Well, the oil cap came in today, and I stopped by a shop on the way home from work this afternoon, got the oil. So I put the oil in, put the cap on, cranked the bike up, and took it for a ride. I wish I had thought about it, made a video. I kicked it, and it took like, I think 2 tries, and it fired up. So I was really excited about that. Being cold, it fired up so quick. But anyway, I took it for a ride, and I mean, it's riding smooth. It's spitting and sputtering a little bit when I first left the house, but I'm thinking, okay, let it warm up a little bit. It got a little better the longer I rode, but still I could be cruising at like 50, and all of a sudden the bike, you'd hear like that little sneeze out of the carburetor, and the bike would like hesitate for a second. So I'm pretty positive that both of my jets need to be taken up one. I meant to write down what I had in there when I had the carburetor off, so what I'm going to do now is pull the bowl off and see what I have inside the carburetor, and then I'm going to bump them up both by 1. I've got some jets around here somewhere. When you buy, here they are. When you buy the kits, the S&S kits, they come with extra jets, so you can swap them out. Well, that was one problem. So I think when I get home, I'll change the jets. Bike's running great, other than that little bit of hesitation every now and then, but I can live with that. I know it's just the carburetor needs tuning. Well, then I'm riding along, and it's like somebody just turned the switch off. The bike just dies. So I pull off side of the road, and I've got a my starter switch. I mounted a starter switch underneath the tank here on the left-hand side of the bike. So I've got my starter switch right here. So I hit that starter switch, nothing. I mean, you can hear crickets chirping. Bike doesn't turn over, doesn't do shit. Now I'm like, what the fuck? So it's got to be electrical. So I'm checking wires, you know, around the coil here to make sure nothing's loose. Checking my plugs to make sure they're good. And everything looks fine. So I turned the key back on, or turned the switch back on one time. I turned it off. Hit the starter switch, it cranked up. I'm like, okay, well, I don't know what it is, we'll get home. So I'm heading home by this time and riding along, and damn if it don't do it again. So I pulled off side of the road and turned it off, played with it for a second, started back up later. So then I'm coming home and it's, you know, it's afternoon traffic. I'm sitting at a light and the bike had been idling fine. It didn't feel like anything was wrong with the idling. It was running great. And all of a sudden it's just like somebody reached up and shut it off. So I had to crank it back up again, and it took a little bit of work. And then one more time, the ignition just died. So I got it back home, I'm on the lift, and now the first thing I'm gonna do is go ahead and change those both those jets out. I'm gonna go up one on the intermediate, which controls your idle and your low speed. And I'm also gonna change the main jet, because I could be riding at 50, 55, 60 miles an hour, and it would just like burp for a second, hesitate. So and then also when I would let off the gas and decelerate, I'd get popping through the pipes, and that's an indication of a lean condition. So before I burn anything up running too lean, I'm gonna go ahead and change those jets out. So what I'm gonna do now is I'm gonna pull the bowl off, and then I'll pick back up from there and tell you what I find.